It starts the same way every time. A quiet morning, an empty shoreline, and a shape in the distance that shouldn't be there. People walk closer, thinking it's a rock or broken driftwood, until they realize the truth. A whale. Sometimes as long as a bus, lying helpless at the edge of the surf, its massive lungs collapsing under its own weight, its skin drying, cracking, and fading under the sun. These creatures are built for pressure, for depth, for the endless blue, not for beaches. And yet, it's happening again and again and again. Over the last decade, whale strandings have increased across the world, from California to New Zealand, from Ghana to the shores of the United Kingdom. Entire pods of pilot whales washing up in a single night. Blue whales that should roam thousands of miles, ending up lifeless on sand. People look at these giants and ask one question: why? Why are the most intelligent ancient mammals of the sea suddenly losing their way? Why does it feel like the ocean itself is crying out? Scientists, fishermen, sailors, and coastal communities all have theories, but the real answer is not simple. It's not one cause, not one villain, not one disaster. It's a combination of human interference, environmental stress, biological confusion, and ancient instincts colliding with the modern world. And today we're pulling all of it apart. Whales navigate the oceans using a biological superpower called echolocation, a natural sonar that allows them to map the world through sound. For millions of years, this system worked flawlessly. Oceans were quiet, predictable, and stable. But today, the sea is louder than ever. Cargo ships, seismic oil testing, underwater construction, and powerful naval sonar now fill the water with low-frequency noise that interferes with the very signals whales use to find their way. Imagine trying to drive with your GPS glitching every 5 seconds. That's what whales are living through, and many don't survive that confusion. When a whale loses its orientation, it can swim into shallow water without realizing it. Once trapped, its own weight becomes its enemy. Whales are supported by the buoyancy of the ocean. Without it, their organs compress, their lungs collapse, and their blood circulation begins to fail. A whale on land is a ticking clock. Even if people rush in to help, the margin for survival is brutally small. In many cases, the whale didn't come to shore intentionally. It simply couldn't hear the ocean clearly enough to understand where it was. But the navigation issue goes deeper. Some species like pilot whales are so socially bonded that if one whale becomes disoriented, the entire group follows. These whales are known for their loyalty. And during strandings, this loyalty becomes their doom. When one leader swims toward danger, the whole pod obeys. When one whale beaches, dozens may follow. This is why we often see mass strandings, not an accident, but a chain reaction based on trust. Another major cause behind whale strandings is illness or injury, something that turns strong ocean giants into vulnerable drifters. Many whales wash ashore because they are already dying, long before they reach the beach. Parasites, infections, cancers, and toxins can weaken their ability to swim, dive, and navigate. But in the modern ocean, the biggest threat doesn't come from nature. It comes from us. Pollution, especially plastics and microplastics, is increasingly being discovered inside the stomachs of stranded whales. These plastics block digestion, cause internal damage, and leave animals starving despite having bellies full of trash. In some cases, whales wash up with over 30 kilograms of plastic inside them. Bags, fishing gear, ropes, fragments, even entire nets. These materials don't only injure the body, they interfere with buoyancy, navigation, and the whale's ability to hunt and feed properly. Another rising threat is chemical pollution, particularly heavy metals and industrial toxins that accumulate in whale fat and organs over years. These chemicals weaken immune systems, making whales more vulnerable to disease and less able to fight off infections. When a sick whale struggles to breathe, feed, or swim, it instinctively heads toward shallow, calmer waters, seeking safety, but finding death instead. Even worse, many sick whales release distress calls that bring their companions to them. What was one dying whale becomes an entire pod trapped on land, their survival instincts ironically leading them straight into danger. Climate change has transformed the ocean faster than whales can adapt. Rising sea temperatures are shifting the migration patterns of fish, squids, and krill, the very foods whales depend on. Many whales follow these prey into unfamiliar territories, including dangerous shallow zones, where strandings are more likely. When whales chase food into areas they have never hunted before, they encounter sandbars, hidden shoals, shifting currents, and unfamiliar coastlines. In these new environments, a whale's instincts can fail them, turning once safe hunting grounds into deadly traps. Additionally, melting polar ice and warming waters are disrupting ocean currents, the highways whales have used for millions of years. These currents guide their migration routes, conserve energy, and even help them navigate long distances. But now, currents are shifting, weakening, or disappearing entirely. Whales that rely on ancient instincts end up in the wrong places at the wrong times, with too little energy to escape shallow waters or find food. Even the strongest, healthiest individuals can be trapped, exhausted, and disoriented, making strandings increasingly common. There is another hidden and invisible danger: toxic algal blooms, commonly called red tides, fueled by warmer oceans and nutrient runoff from human activity. These blooms release neurotoxins that affect whale nervous systems, disorienting them, paralyzing their muscles, and sometimes killing them outright. In several documented cases, entire pods of whales have washed up dead after passing through these toxic water zones. Healthy one day, poison the next, these whales find themselves stranded and dying on beaches, victims of a threat they cannot see or avoid. Climate-driven toxins have turned parts of the Osea, once a sanctuary for these giants, into a hostile, unpredictable environment, showing how human-driven change is rewriting the rules of survival in the deep. Whales are some of the most intelligent animals on Earth. They communicate, they socialize, they travel across oceans, and they mourn their dead. But intelligence doesn't protect them from nets that span kilometers, ships that weigh thousands of tons, or a climate spinning out of control. Human activity, noise, pollution, fishing, and industrial development is now the single largest factor driving whale strandings in modern times. Unless these pressures are reduced, the beaches of the world will continue turning into graveyards, with entire pods trapped or dying before anyone can intervene. Yet, there is hope. Every time a whale strands, people rush to help locals, scientists, volunteers, entire communities. Some strandings result in remarkable rescues where whales are guided back into deep water, sometimes even after hours of struggle. These moments are proof that humans aren't just the problem, we can be part of the solution. Governments are introducing noise-free zones, restricting sonar testing, enforcing safer shipping lanes, and pushing for cleaner oceans. Marine rescue teams are becoming faster, better equipped, and more coordinated than ever before, using technology, training, and community awareness to save these giants of the deep. But change won't happen unless we act and speak up. The ocean itself doesn't have a voice, but whales do. When they beach themselves, that is the ocean screaming for attention. It is warning us that something is broken, that the balance of life is shifting, and that urgent action is required. If we ignore these strandings, we risk losing more than whales. We risk the collapse of entire ecosystems, the disappearance of biodiversity, and the destabilization of the oceanic networks we depend on. If we listen and respond, however, there is still a chance to restore balance to the world beneath the waves and ensure that future generations inherit an ocean teeming with life. If you're watching this, it means you care about the ocean and the creatures living in it. So help this message spread. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video so more people understand what's really happening beneath the waves. The more awareness we raise, the more pressure we put on leaders to protect our oceans. Whales cannot speak for themselves, but you can, and together we can make sure the ocean's giants continue to roam free, far away from our beaches.